All right, trig students, so you finally have what you've been wishing for. We're going to be putting calculators in our hands. So again, please continue to show your algebra. Algebra is very important. It'll take you much further in your math classes than just pressing buttons. But there are some angles, obviously, all right, that are not basically coterminal to the big three, right, or some way, or don't have a 30, 45, or 60 degree reference. So obviously, you know, real life, there's many more angles than just those three. So whenever you're encountering something of a 30, 45, or 60 degree reference, right, I do want exact answers, all right, but when you do encounter one like 32 degrees or 220 or 350, 81.4, whatever the case might be, you know, we're basically going to turn to our calculator, or you just leave it as it is, right? This is what we call an exact answer. It's not an estimate, and sometimes that's preferable, just to put that as your answer rather than the decimal. But since we're going to learn how to press some buttons, let's go ahead and do that. So again, I'm going to be using a TI-84. Hopefully we can see the screen okay. Make sure that it's on. And the first thing we have to do is to make sure that we're in degree mode. So the mode key is right here. So you'll just press mode, and you'll notice that right now I'm in radian mode, so that's not good. So I'll just scroll down, kick myself over, press enter, and now I'm in degree mode. The other thing you probably want to do is have your decimal to float. Most of these decimals will have, I think you have up to 9 or 10, 11 decimal places on the calculator. So this will allow it to go all the way, all right, for as many as you need. And then what we're going to do, just make sure you read the problems real carefully. But for this exercise, we're going to round everything to 4 decimals. So everything is going to be an estimate. The next good news for you guys, let me kind of bring this up a little bit, is the fact that the sine, cosine, and tangent are actually keys on your calculator. So that's really good news for us in terms of using it. So when it comes to using this guy, when I want to find the cosine of 32, right, let me exit out of here, by the way. So just a second, quit to get back to the home screen. So to find the cosine of 32, I'm just going to hit the cosine button and then type 32. You notice I already put some parentheses there. That's good, right, because this is a function notation. So the cosine of 32, what the estimate of it is when I press enter, right, looks like 0.848, and if I carry over, it looks like 0. All right, and yes, that 0 is significant. That tells people that we have rounded to 4 significant digits. All right, if you just left it off, right, that would tell the user that you've rounded off to 3 digits with no idea what came after that. So that 0 is important in terms of significant digits. So that's how easy it is. Again, just really nice. To find the sine of 220, again, it's the same thing. I'll just hit the sine button. Right, parentheses open, we're talking about the number 220, parentheses, right, enter, and it looks like what we're dealing with here is we're estimating this as negative 0.0642, and I'm getting an 8 out of that if we round off to the significant digits. All right, so yeah, so the 4th digit is 7, the next one is 8, so we round up. So that rounds up to negative 0.6428. Tangent of 350, well, again, what I'll do is I'll just press my tangent key, open parentheses automatically, type in 350, press enter, and we get an estimated answer of negative 0.0176, and it looks like 3. Okay, so that's how easy it is with the big 3. You just press the button and we go. One other reminder that I'll make, this is a quad 1 angle. Right, and so everything's positive in quad 1, so that kind of verifies that. 220 is a quad 3 angle, and we know sine's negative in there, so that's obviously why we got a negative. And 350 is a quad 4 angle, right, and so we expect a negative out of the tangent. So it's in line with what we've learned, right, using the algebra and the trig. Okay, so getting a little tougher, what about the secant, the cosecant, and the cotangent? Again, if we look at our calculator, those aren't there. And then the one thing that I'll mention right away is this sine to the negative 1, this cosine to the negative 1, and this tangent to the negative 1. Right? Be careful with that, right? Because those represent the inverse function. Right? So that's the inverse function of sine. That's the inverse function of cosine. and that's the inverse of tangent. We'll talk about inverses in a moment, but we're not invoking the inverse here, right? Because remember, by definition, these guys are reciprocals, right? They're not inverses. So the secant of 140, that's equivalent to 1 over the cosine of 140, right? Cosecant of 75, well, by reciprocal, that's the 1 over the sine of 75, and cotangent would be 1 over the tangent of 205, right? So in order to do those, right, we're going to have to use the identity, right, the reciprocal identities, and then we can finally get to work. So how do I find the secant of 140? By typing that in my calculator. So 1 divided by the cosine of 140 degrees. All right, and when I press enter, what I get, this is estimated to be -1.3054. And so that's how you enter those guys onto your calculator. The next one, right, what's the cosecant of 75? All right, so again, we're going to rewrite it as 1 divided by the sine, all right, of 75. And it looks like we get, what is that, 1, trying to fit everything into this viewing camera, 10353. All right, and then last but not least, what's the cotangent of 205? Well, in terms of our calculator, right, we'll enter it as 1 divided by the tangent, all right, of 205. Close parentheses, press enter, and this looks like it's 2.1445. Okay, so there's your initial stab at some button pushing with regards to cosine, sines, tangents, secants, cosecants, and cotangents. And again, I prefer exact answers, right? You can just leave them as they are if we do work, as you'll see. But I think a lot of times in the homework, and even I'll ask for some decimal accuracy, that's how you press those buttons. We're 7 minutes into this, and the next have some other nuances, so how about I stop there and continue to try to figure out how I'm going to fit all this into one viewing rectangle. I'll get better at it, I promise. But let me cut to another video to do what's next.